For pretty much our whole lives, we've been told that a glass of fruit juice is basically health in a glass. It comes from fruit, it's got vitamins. What could possibly be wrong with that, right? Well, let's dive into this, because the real story is a little more complicated.
So let's just get right to it and ask the big question. Is that glass of orange or apple juice you have every single morning really doing your body as much good as you think it is? The answer might actually shock you.
Okay, get ready for this, because this one's a real eye-opener. Take a look. On the one side, you've got a glass of apple juice. On the other, a can of cola. And, believe it or not, they can have the exact same amount of sugar. Yep, that's not a typo. It's a shocking fact that really gets to the heart of the whole juice issue.
So how in the world does this happen? How does a perfectly healthy, crisp apple get turned into something that's on par with a soda? Well, it all comes down to the process. What happens when that fruit becomes juice? And that right there is where the trouble starts.
The entire issue, really, it all boils down to one crucial thing that gets tossed out in the juicing process: fiber. See, when you eat a whole fruit, the fiber acts like a sponge. It slows everything down, so your body absorbs the sugar gradually. But juicing, it strips all that fiber away, leaving behind what's basically just sugar water that hits your system like a freight train.
And the result of that missing fiber is, wow. Just check out this number. A single 8-ounce cup of orange juice, we're not talking about a giant glass here, has about 21 grams of sugar. To put that in perspective, that is over 5 teaspoons of pure sugar hitting your bloodstream all at once, with nothing to slow it down.
So here's maybe the best way to picture what's happening inside your body. Because there's no fiber to run interference, that sugar rush from a glass of juice can spike your blood sugar just as fast as if you'd eaten a candy bar. It's a massive, immediate jolt of sugar.
But that sugar spike, that's really just the beginning of the story. When drinking juice becomes a daily habit, over time it can have some other kind of sneaky consequences for your health.
First off, that 1-2 punch of high sugar and natural fruit acid is just brutal for your tooth enamel. Then there's the fact that liquid calories don't make you feel full, right? So it's super easy to drink a lot of them without realizing it, which can easily lead to weight gain. And finally, you know what comes after a huge sugar spike? The inevitable crash. It leaves you feeling tired, sluggish, and, you guessed it, craving more sugar. It is a vicious cycle.
Oh, and here's a really quick but super important heads up. If you happen to be on certain medications, especially for things like high cholesterol or blood pressure, you have to be careful. Grapefruit juice can actually interfere with how those drugs work in your body. So, it's always a good idea to check with your doctor on that one.
All right, enough of the bad news, right? The great news is there are so many amazing, easy, and delicious alternatives that give you all the flavor and hydration you want, but without that sugar crash. It's all about making a few smarter swaps.
So check out these fantastic swaps. For just a hint of flavor, try infusing your water with some lemon, cucumber, or berries. So refreshing. If you're craving some bubbles, sparkling water with a splash of fruit is an awesome treat. Now, if you absolutely have to have that fruity drink, make it a smoothie. Blending keeps all that precious fiber in there. But honestly, the undisputed champion, the best choice, is always the simplest one. Just eat the fruit. And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. It's about creating a whole new rule of thumb for how we think about fruit and staying hydrated, one that puts you back in the driver's seat of your own health.
Look, if you remember just one single thing from all this, let it be this. Juice isn't the enemy, but it's a treat. It's not a daily health drink. For those real, everyday health benefits, the whole fruit is always going to be the winner. And that's really the bottom line. Now you know. You can make a better, more informed choice for yourself. Which leaves us with just one final, pretty important question. What are you going to be reaching for tomorrow morning?